So slow flight is very simple. It's often taught somewhat incorrectly. Make sure the airplane's trimmed up, you're happy with the airplane. You can let go of the airplane and it's going to continue straight and at your altitude. So, and I call this a reference power setting. If the examiner says you want 80 knots, bring the power back to 2,000. You may have to tweak that a bit. And 10 degrees of flaps, or your first setting, should give you about 80 knots. So we got 10 degrees of flaps in, and we're just going to wait. And we're just going to trim the airplane. We may have to adjust this a little bit. Again, I call it a reference power setting, depending on the weight, the way the engine's running. But 2,000 RPM, 2,100 thereabouts, should give you 80 knots. And you just let go of the airplane. Just keep it trimmed, you let go of the airplane. Just make some small adjustments. You don't have to fight the airplane. Now we're at 80 knots. Now if the examiner says, I want 70 knots, second notch of flaps, little nose down trim. We haven't touched the power. And as the airplane slows up, we'll need a little nose up trim. So just let it come back down here. Maybe bring it back to 2,000. And we're just going to wait. We're just going to wait. Just my fingertips, and I'm using the trim a lot, feeling the airplane. Here we come up, 2,000 RPM, second notch of flaps. We're within the ACS standards for 70 knots. A little more nose up trim. You can just if you make power adjustments, make them 100 or less at a time, and just be patient. Here we are coming up on 70 knots. Now if the DPE says 60 knots, we'll go full flaps. Just leave it where it is, a little nose down trim. Let the airplane slow up. Not touching the power. Just my fingertips, I'm using the trim wheel. Here we are, hands free, and we're nailing 60 knots. So that's how easy slow flight is. You don't have to fight the yoke. We're not even touching it. We're just flying the airplane using trim and precise power settings. And the airplane will fly away just as if the autopilot's on. Yep, we haven't done anything. We want to make a turn just a little bit on the control wheel. Get the airplane turning. Let go of it, and it'll continue to turn. It'll hold altitude for the most part and turn without any input. Not touching it, we're establishing a steady bank angle, and we're turning. Hands are off the wheel, and we're at 60 knots. Very easy. One of the simplest maneuvers to do, but the way it's taught often makes it a very complex maneuver for the applicant. Okay, to recover, ease up the power, nice and slow. As you bring the power up, trim down, retract some flaps, more power, trim down, flaps, and let the airplane accelerate.